Station calling to start.
Ground. KLM 4805 is ready for startup.
4805, clear to start.
Checklist before startup. Plane free, blocks in place, doors shut and checked. Ready for startup in sequence 1, 2, 3, 4.
Affirmative, ready on 1.
The KLM pilots start their engines one by one and prepare to go back out onto the runway for takeoff. If the weather were good, there'd be no problem at all. But everything is changing rapidly, and for the worse.
That's it, Company is here. Visibility is right down.
We've fallen from 10 to 3 kilometers in the past half hour. But there's good wind. There will be some hole.
Yeah, but let's face it, the weather is not going to get any better.
Approach 4805 requires backtrack on runway 12 for takeoff on 30.
Taxi straight ahead to end of runway and make a backtrack.
Roger, make a backtrack. 4805 is now on the runway.
The KLM is now back on the runway. The Pan Am prepares to follow them a few hundred meters behind, through the fog, which is getting thicker by the minute.
Pan Am 1736, ready to start.
Pan Am 1736, you are clear to start.
Thank you.
Please make sure your seat belts are fastened, your tray tables are closed, and your hand baggage is stowed beneath the seat in front of you.
The weather's taking a real dive here.
Yeah, looks like we're getting sucked in. Hey, ask him to turn down the fog machine, will you?
Pan Am 1736 clear to taxi on runway following the KLM.
Pan Am 1736 following KLM.
Basically, our instructions were to follow KLM, to backtrack down the runway. Now, backtrack means that you're taxiing down the runway in the opposite direction of the takeoff, following KLM.
335 tons of Boeing 747 turn out onto the runway. At first, traveling at about 15 kilometers an hour, but not for long.
A fog bank started on the right hill. This particular airport is situated between two fairly big hills. And we saw the fog bank come off of the right hill and proceed down and stop right on the runway. So our visibility went from unlimited to 500 meters. We lost sight of the KLM airplane.
I'll have 2 planes tailing on the runway.
Keep some healthy separation. Visibility is dropping every second.
No, they can't see much out there.
They certainly can't. The KLM plane is groping its way through fog.
Can barely see the pavement. We're down to 50 knots ground speed, Scott.
Taxi checklist.
This is a nightmare. We'll never make the limits at this rate. And I really don't want to be spending the night at Las Palmas. I'll give headquarters a call.
Taxi checklist.
Please.
EPR, ADI, safety compass.
Compared and checked. Okay, we're massing 200 tons with 55 tons of fuel. The parameters are checked and verified by myself. Rolling checklist complete.
The two aircraft are following each other on the same runway, but no one can see a thing. Everyone is nervous, especially the American pilots. They know that before long, the KLM will turn round and come back down the runway at full speed, taking off. They have to get off the runway, but where?
Pan Am 1736.
Pan Am 1736, approach.
We were also instructed to taxi down the runway, is that correct?
Affirmative. Taxi into the runway. And leave the runway third. Third to your left.
Third to the left, okay.
Third, he said?
3.
Third. Third to your left.
I thought he said
Leave the
first.
runway third to your left. Third to your left.
Left turn.
Look at it out there. I mean, this cloud just rolled right onto us. I don't think anybody has the minimums now.
In a 747, the pilots are more than 10 meters off the ground. It's very difficult to see out. And it's built to fly, not to drive down a highway in thick fog trying to find an exit.
Tell me what you think, George.
No. We've got centerline markings only. We need 800 meters visibility if we don't have the lights.
Anytime you get a low visibility, such as that, on the back of the approach plates, you have the runway information. It gives you the minimum visibility you must have to be able to take off. We turned our charts over, and it said RVR, minimum 700 meters visibility. So we assumed that with that, he'd just given us 500 meters. We couldn't take off.
My feet are killing me. Something tells me this isn't going to be over anytime soon.
KLM 4805, how many taxiway did you pass?
I think we just passed Charlie 4 right now.
Okay, at the end of the runway, make 180 and report. Report for ATC clearance.
Okay, sir. Tell me, is centerline lighting available for 4805?
I don't think so. Stand by, I will check.
The Pan Am is still traveling along the runway behind them, but very slowly now, because the pilots are confused. They thought they might have misheard the controller. Did he say the third exit, or was it the first?
The first one was a 90-degree turn.
Yeah, okay.
This one down here is a 45. It must be the third.
But this third exit seems to be an impossible turn for a 747. There must be some mistake. The logical exit is the next one, Charlie 4. It's only a 45-degree angle and leads to where they want to go.
I'll ask them again. Would you confirm that you want Pan Am 1736 to turn left at the third intersection?
The third one, sir.
1, 2, 3.
Third one.
1, 2.
Good, well, that's what we need, right? The third one. Uno, dos, tres. All right.
1736, report runway clear. Pan Am 1736.
We couldn't see any taxiways. We couldn't see barely the center line of the runway we were taxiing on, but we knew that the 45-degree angle to the left was a taxiway we were supposed to take.
1 kilometer ahead and out of sight in the fog, the KLM is nearing the end of the runway.
4805 and Pan Am 1736, for your information, the centerline lighting is out of service.
4805, we copied that.
Why am I not surprised? Wouldn't make any much difference anyway. You need a bunch of searchlights to punch a hole through this mess.
Back in the control tower, things are becoming stressful too. For several minutes, they've been unable to see either of these two big jumbo jets on the runway. They don't have ground radar like a big airport. To all intents and purposes, they're working blind.
I lost them. I can't see no visual contact. I hate working like this, blind when the planes are on the ground. Even they don't know where they are.
They're doing well, David. There's good separation distance.
Pan Am 1736 approach. Position, please.
1736, just checking that...
That's the 45 there.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's this one here.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, the next one is almost a 45.
Yeah, but it goes... Yeah, but it goes ahead. I think it'll take us to the taxiway.
Yeah, just a little bit, yeah.
Okay, for sure.
Maybe he counts these as 3.
Oh, I like this.
On the KLM, Captain Van Zanten knows that he is now very close to the minimum visibility for takeoff. There's a good chance he's going to be trapped on the ground, forced to spend the night at Los Rodeos. Not an enticing prospect.
Christ bloody weather. Klaus, give me takeoff speeds.
Yeah, okay. The V1 will be 120 knots and the VR is 135 knots. I'm preparing the frequencies, 139 and 138.7.
Lights on.
Affirmative. Strobes as well.
Of course, the people in the back have no idea about any of this. The way that everything is clicking into place.
That's it. Just one last hop and we'll be there, okay?
Goody. Is it going to be a long holiday?
Just like last year.
The only thing which might alert them is the fact that the view from their windows is now down to just a few dozen meters.
Where's the wing gone?
It's hidden by the fog.
What? A frog? A big green frog?
Don't be silly, just calm down.
But...
Chewing gum to pop your ears?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
I wonder if Rubina will have a good time tonight.
Oh, are you worrying about her? Oh, she always manages to have a good time.
That's true.
At the end of the runway, the plane begins its 180-degree turn.
How many have taken off now? Feels like we've been texting for hours. I can't see anything. Do you think they can see any better out the front?
Maybe, yeah.
No? There's a lot of fog out there.
It's just after 5 p.m. The two aircraft are now face to face, a kilometer apart, unable to see each other in the fog.
Okay, we're on the numbers now. Can't be far from the threshold. You can just about see the white center line.
I've left the body gear on to help you turn around. I've got 8 greens on the undercarriage.
Wipers on.
Lights are on.
I said wipers on.
All right, there you go.
Okay, we have 700 meters visibility here now.
Wait a minute. We don't have ATC clearance.
I know that. Go ahead, ask.
KLM 4805 is now ready for takeoff. We're waiting for ATC clearance.
KLM 4805, you're clear to the Papa Beacon. Climb to and maintain...
ATC clearance is the route the aircraft intends to take once it's left Los Rodeos. But it's not permission to take off. That has to be obtained separately.
Las Palmas VOR.
Roger, sir. We're cleared to the Papa Beacon, flight level 90. Right turn out 040 until intercepting the 325. We're
going.
No!
Stand by for takeoff, I will call you.
And we're still taxiing down the runway. Pan Am 1736.
Pan Am 1736, report runway clear.
Okay, we'll report when we're clear.
Thank you, 1736.
He asked us, were we off the runway? And I responded back, negative. We are still on the runway, but we will report clear of the runway. That was the last thing I said over the radio.
Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, he's anxious, isn't he?
Yeah, and now he's in a rush.
We were only taxiing at 3 miles an hour. Nothing in my mind would have even given me the thought that he was taking off.